Hey everybody, it's your boy Mac the Franchise, coming at you with a very special episode this week. This is going to be Halloween themed, so sorry Sam Darnold, you're going to be seeing Ghost again.
A ghost? Like what's exit?
Let's see which NFL teams this week they either tricked their way into winning or they were treated with a loss. But before we get to all of that, let's check out these two just low light plays for the week. This first one, this is going to be the Browns taking on the Patriots, and Baker Mayfield just giving up his ball to the defense, and it's pretty funny to watch.
They've turned it over now, 3 consecutive plays, 2 fumbles, and count this as a pick. Jarvis Landry, I guess, was the target, but Guy read it better than anyone.
And then this next one, I've never seen such a play. The Buccaneers, you just amaze me with your ineptitude.
At the 4. Ogunbowale, and he ran into Brashad Perry with the motion man.
Okay, now that we got all of this crappy stuff out the way, let's get to the good stuff. While it wasn't necessarily pretty or as dominant of a win as most people would have assumed, the outcome nevertheless was the same, with the Vikings plundering the Redskins on Thursday night.
Oh my God! Wow! Oh my God!
Even without star wideout Adam Thielen, the Vikings offense still cruised through the game without punting one time. This is the first time it's happened for the franchise since 1974. League-leading rusher Dalvin Cook killed not just on the ground with 98 yards, but also through the air with 73. Kirk Cousins seemed to have seen all the memes after that Chicago game, because since then, he has been on fire, which in turn has put Stephon Diggs on fire. In this game, he had 143 yards. An interesting wrinkle for this game was that it was a double revenge game for both Case Keenum and Adrian Peterson, who are both former Vikings. While AP had a decent game, and he also moved to number 6 all-time leading rushing. He passed LaDainian Tomlinson and Jerome Bettis. While Case Keenum, on the other hand, he got knocked out of the game with a concussion. At least we got to see more of Dwayne Haskins, and he did not look very good. If Keenum can't get cleared for next week's game, maybe a full week of prep can help Dwayne. Surprisingly, both of these teams go into this contest with winning streaks, but the Saints had a returning Drew Brees under center. They were at home, and the defense has been flying around as of late. Drew Brees showed little rust in his return. Yeah, he threw an interception, but it wasn't costly. He also got his playmakers involved in Michael Thomas and the filling-in running back Latavius Murray. The Saints offense had no problem moving the ball up and down the field, and holding on to possession, that was pretty easy for them. They held on to the ball for nearly 40 minutes while letting the Cardinals only have it for 22. The Saints defense shut down the Cardinals' run game, so if you were one of those poor point-chasing saps that picked up Chase Edmonds last week, you're probably pretty mad. The Saints proved to be a force to be reckoned with in the NFC, and good luck if you have to travel there in the near future to play them. The Eagles have had it pretty rough as of late. They've gotten their cheeks clapped 2 weeks in a row. They got players calling each other out about accountability, showing up late for meetings and skipping practice. And Orlando Scandrick, a former DB for the team, has come forward telling tales about how much in shambles the locker room is as of late. And what did they do this week? They just dominated a Bills team that had the 3rd best ranked defense in the NFL, and they ran all over them. The Eagles dominated the line of scrimmage like it was a BDSM party, and they became the first team this year to score more than 21 points against Buffalo. They ran for 218 yards on the ground and also had 3 tuds, with a combo running back duo of Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders, the rookie. With steady rain and high winds, these were not ideal weather conditions for throwing the ball, but when you're playing from behind like Buffalo was, you're forced to do so. Josh Allen had a little bit of the bubbly, and he fumbled the ball 3 times.
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
When your defense is struggling to get off the field, probably isn't the most best idea to put them back on the field with a bunch of turnovers. The Eagles moved back to 500 at 4-4, and they finally return home next week after 28 days to take on the Chicago Bears. And so good luck with that. Watch out for Khalil Mack though. This matchup surprised me about how good it was. Derek Carr, who many have left by the wayside, had a stellar performance with 285 yards and 3 TDs, but that was not enough to slow down Deshaun Watson, who has been on a roll this season. And the Texans, coming off a loss to the Colts, are trying to keep pace with them and stay in the hunt. And the Raiders, who are also second place in their own division behind the Chiefs, Mahomes out, this could be their chance to play catch up. The Raiders came out hot, scalding hot, with both passing game and run game humming, but later on in the contest, they waned. Even after J.J. Watt left the contest with a torn pectoral, we'll talk about that later. Penalties were the major contributor to the Raiders' loss. They were flagged 11 times. That totaled to 100 yards. And many of these came at very key moments in the contest. Next week, the Texans will try to keep things rolling against the 4-4 Jaguars, and the Raiders will take on the Lions squad, who are 3-3-1 tie that they had with the Cardinals. When the footballs scheduled this matchup, they were probably salivating at the chance to see Patrick Mahomes duke it out with Aaron Rodgers. But after an unfortunate injury last week to Mahomes, we were robbed of said matchup. So we were left with what it seemed Aaron Rodgers dealing with Matt Moore, the backup. So I guess the Packers were just cruised to an easy victory, right? You would be wrong, actually. Both QBs delivered and then some. Sure, the Packers still won, but the Chiefs sure did make them work for it. Early in the game, it kind of did look like the Packers were going to just run away with it. It was just a cheap clacking fest, with the Packers jumping to a 14-0 lead, while the Chiefs' offense seemed to sputter and struggle without Mahomes behind them. But eventually, Matt Moore found his footing, and had the Chiefs rattle off the 17 unanswered points to end the half. But what really separated these teams were their running backs. Aaron Jones of Green Bay had 67 rushing yards and 159 receiving yards, and he caught 2 of Aaron Rodgers' 3 touchdown passes. While the Chiefs, they had LaShawn McCoy. He was stifled all evening, bottled up, and he only had 40 yards. He also had a costly fumble that probably put him on the bench, but it also hurt his team and put them in a bad spot. The Packers, they moved to 7-1, leaders of their division, and they're only one game behind the top seed in the NFC and the 49ers, who are undefeated. And they play the Chargers, while the Chiefs, they hope that Mahomes can return next week for their matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. If you were actually excited for this game, you probably either had Juju or James Conner left to play in fantasy and you needed them to come in clutch to get you the dub. And early on, you were probably crapping your pants because the Dolphins actually led 14-0, and it looked like the Steelers were about to be the first team to lose to the Dolphins. But in the second half, Steeler Nation, they blew a huge sigh of relief. They got the dub, and still not dead in their division somehow. Also, if you have not picked up Deontay Johnson in fantasy, do it now. Steeler Nation, you're still probably wondering what life will Big Ben will be like. And you have to ask yourself, is Mason Rudolph really the answer? Or maybe you should go back to your old duck-calling boy, Devlin Hodges, to see how it goes. And the Dolphins, Tua was hurt, so I don't know what you're going to be doing with that first pick that you're trying to get. But you got to at least win one game. Make it look like you're even trying. It seems like you're just inventing ways to lose, which honestly is quite hilarious. Beep, 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 beep. Alright, it's time for the news. Okay, J.J. Watt tore his pec in the game against the Raiders, so he'll be out for the rest of the season. And then with the trade deadline ending sometime in the afternoon on Tuesday, we got a slew of trades to get to, so let's try to get to it. Kenyon Drake was traded from the Dolphins to the Cardinals. Aqib Talib was traded from the Rams to the Dolphins. Sad. Michael Bennett was traded from the Patriots to the Cowboys. And then, who else was traded? I think that was it. Okay. The Chargers, they fired the offensive coordinator Ken Wisenhunt. Joe Flacco, he can miss 5 to 6 weeks because of something happening with his neck. So Broncos sucks. Okay, so the Patriots and the 49ers are still undefeated. And then defeated teams, we got the Dolphins and the Bengals. They still have not won a game, so they're going to be duking it out for that #1 pick. Okay, boys and girls, that wraps it up for the NFL this week. And now, we're actually going to cover some NBA. I will probably only be covering the Mavericks because I'm not covering all them games. That's a lot. I'll probably cover the big games, like the Christmas games and everything. But probably just the Mavericks and stick with the Mavericks. Okay. So this past weekend, the Mavs won 2 out of their first 3 games. So now they got a winning record, so they're 2-1. So we'll see how the season goes. We're gonna see how the NBA looks when we're trying to win with a bunch of Europeans on the team. So that's an interesting way to try to look at things. And so hopefully that comes good. Luka, Porzingis, nice dynamic duo. They're surrounded by shooters, so I think it's going to be well. World Series, once that wraps up, we'll do a quick little recap of the World Series. I think right now, the Astros, as I'm recording this, are leading 3-2. So if they win, congratulations, Astros. If not, then we'll see how game 6 or 7 goes. Okay, everybody, that wraps it up for this video this week. You guys have a nice, happy Halloween and get you some diabetes. All right, I'm Batman in Bombay.